this is the what do you call it? This is the lemon wipe that comes with your KFC.
Hello, Shemai Croiso, and welcome to the Fathers of Metal podcast with myself, Daddy Huw.
And myself, Papa Ben. Hi, Hugh. It's as if we've just finished a recording of something else.
I think you're about right, absolutely. But I'm ready to go. I'm absolutely mettled up now, and I'm really excited to be talking about tonight's episode. So we are here tonight for a series of reaction videos, specifically looking at the release of a new album rather than albums that have been released in the past. So it's fair to say that when this album came out, you and I have been excited for quite a while, mainly to see if this album is all that. So, Papa Ben, tell us what album we are chatting about tonight.
Okay, so tonight we are looking and we are discussing the album Hell Unleashed by the band Evile, and it's, I guess you could very much consider it their comeback album after 8 years hiatus, basically. Yes, very excited about this. Mostly because there was a certain comment made on an interview by I believe it's their lead guitarist and vocalist, claiming that this is the best thrash album in the last 20 years. So I haven't let go of that.
They obviously meant post Antichrist by
Post Antichrist, yes. Yes. So I haven't let go of that, and it's fair to say I was somewhat critical of the single release, their first single release, which is the self-titled, was the name of the album, and the name of their single, which was Hell Unleashed. But well, I mean, that's what we're here for. Let's talk about it.
Let's talk about it. So
let's do it.
Yeah. So again, as you said, the band basically, I'd like to call it probably shooting themselves in the foot, because when you come out with the saying that we are about to create something that is better than anyone has ever released in the past 20 years, even if they do deliver, when you raise the bar of expectations like that, no matter what the genre of music is or whatever the piece of art you're about to create, you are most likely going to underwhelm your audience. And it is an absolute stupid thing to do. You should never give that level of expectation. You should just listen to something at face value without any influence like that. So that arguably was doomed my listening from the beginning, because like you, I couldn't let it go. Think of anything. I couldn't let it go, at all. But I'm not necessarily underwhelmed.
No.
I'm only underwhelmed because I was expecting, like, in the great words of Tenacious D, this isn't the greatest album in the world. This is just a tribute. Gotta believe me, and I wish you were there.
Yes.
But yeah, it's almost got that sort of Tenacious D element to it. But
I'm sure that I'm sure there was a certain element of. I'm sure that comment was probably meant slightly tongue in cheek when said.
Hopefully, yeah.
Hopefully, but it's always good to hang on to these things sometimes, and maybe look at it from that critical point of view, which the point of these discussions are, I suppose. We're talking about this album and any other album that we do in this situation as fans first.
No, absolutely.
And then the critical listening side comes in later, I suppose.
No, spot on.
Yeah.
So I'll start off. We've said before in plenty of episodes that you and I are what we call thrash heads.
Yes.
So thrash metal, for me, it's thrash metal and power metal, but thrash metal for me comes first. I only discovered Evile actually through yourself, because, again, I think
Enter the Grave.
They've delivered, I think, probably one of the greater debut albums by a thrash band. Was it 2007 that was released?
2007, yeah.
2007.
Enter the Grave.
So, it's 14 years ago since the debut album was released. But just going on, first, second, third, and fourth, I've probably listened to this album 4 or 5 times now, because I'll put it on for a run when I go for a run in the morning. This is a really good thrash metal album. Aside what they said, it is a really good album. There's plenty of variation in all the songs.
Yes.
And that's what you and I were worried about just because of that first single we heard. So the first single, Hell Unleashed, our original thoughts of that song, we were quite underwhelmed because we thought it was a bit of a safe song, bit of a middle of the road,
but
nothing really interesting.
borderline bland.
Yeah, maybe.
Ironically, and this is the beautiful thing with music, isn't it? Is there's us talking about how the song "Hell Unleashed" we can consider bland and a bit thing. If you play that to, I don't know, my grandparents, they would think Satan is jumping out of the speakers and coming to drag them to hell himself.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not that I'm insinuating my grandparents are going to hell, but yes, as you can imagine, and there's us going, oh, is that all they got? Type thing.
So that's all we got.
Tis but a scratch.
Your best shot.
Yeah, tis but a scratch. Yes, but I have to say, and I'm happy to admit, I was more than critical in our reaction discussion to that song, but I will say now, the song makes sense, which I thought it's very much the case of if you took the song Escape from Ride the Lightning and you release that as, let's just say that was the single you were going to release for Ride the Lightning, you would be very, very underwhelmed. Possibly. It's an okay song. It's a perfectly okay song, but that is it. That is as far as it will go, much like Hell Unleashed. But then you listen to that song in context, and it's exactly what it needs. And in some way, I'm not saying this song doesn't have the same level of impact that Escape has on Ride the Lightning, because Hell Unleashed is the last song.
Yeah.
But when you've listened to this, in some way, the best way I can describe this, and food always comes to mind, as you knew, because when I messaged you with this comparison,
food and drink, and we revert back to that. Yeah.
Yes. I very much consider the song Hell Unleashed as the palate cleanser to the end of the album. This is the what do you call it? This is the lemon wipe that comes with your KFC. So
the bowl of water after an Indian.
Yeah. It's perfectly fine. It just cleanses the palate.
Yeah.
It doesn't. It's not doing any crazy acrobatic shit. It's not no wankery. It's just going, here you go. Is just a little punch of straight up bit of thrash, bit of fun. After this album, and yeah, it does exactly what it needs to do.
That's a perfect way, and that's pretty much what I have got written down here. Again, the world doesn't have enough context, and again, by itself, again, it you could call it underwhelming, but in the album, it fits perfectly.
Yep.
And as a singer, I think I mentioned this. I definitely mentioned this in our analysis of just that single song. I got really bored of the vocals really quickly in this song because, as I said, it's almost like a guy
shopping list.
At the top of the stairs, shouting to his wife the shopping list or what they need from the shop.
Yeah,
because there's a da 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 da. There was no tone shift or. There's just diversity in what the vocals are doing. I thought, oh, really? I saw I think the vocals was sort of made it most underwhelming for me first, but that's the dude's sort of vocal style anyway, and he does it differently throughout the album. And by the time you get to Hell Unleashed, well, the last song of the album, Hell Unleashed, you're sort of used to him, and you forgive it, if anything, and it's fine. Within the context of the album, everything he's doing is absolutely legit, and it's fine. So by the time the song came, after listening to the 8 songs that came before it, do you know what's weird? So this album is 41 minutes long. I won't say it's weird, but it feels like you've listened to the album in 10 minutes. It feels like it's come and gone so fast. But you have been listening to it for 41 minutes, but it feels so much short. It feels shorter than Rain in Blood.
Rain in Blood was famously less than half an hour.
Yes, I know. But but it feels really short. And so when I say, "Oh, I've been listening to this for 41 minutes," I didn't realize. But time really just flies listening to it. So that's a good sign that you're not clock watching
No.
an album, which again, like we do for an album we're not a big fan of, or a band we're not a fan of. You're waiting to, when's this end of this album going to come? But yeah, that's every time I listen to it, I think, oh, is that all?
Yeah.
Oh, that's 9 songs. Okay, it felt like just 3.
Yeah.
But that's
going back to the food thing. If it only feels like the entree, essentially. You feel like there should be a you've had your appetizer and you kind of want your main course now, but that feeling of something wanting something more is exactly what you want.
Yes, absolutely.
That
keeps people interested.
Yeah.
Keeps the fans interested. I mean, yeah.
The best way, as I described to you the other week, is this. I actually described it in comparison to another album that we'll be reviewing, but I won't mention anything about that yet. But the album that we'll be doing another review discussion of is Fortitude by Gojira. But in taking that one out of context, this album, Hell Unleashed now, is like it's like going to your favorite burger place, and it's just, it doesn't do anything flashy. It's big. Like there's a local burger place that's up a mountain near me, but they do the best burgers. There's nothing fancy. It's just meat, bacon, maybe some mushrooms and whatever. But it's big, it's dirty, it's tasty, it's fulfilling, it's satisfying, and I keep wanting to go back there. I look forward to going there. And this is exactly, you don't feel like you have to, it's not an effort to listen to this album as much as it's not an effort for me to eat that, like eat my favorite burger. It's nothing super, it's nothing flashy, but it's effortless, and that's exactly what you want it to be. You want it to be effortless. I can listen to this album in the car. I can listen to it through any form of headphones. I could listen to it on the speaker of my phone, and I could still enjoy it. Where there's some albums that you just cannot do that with because you lose too much, or it just doesn't work. This album can be listened to on anything, and it's fun. It's so fun. It's big. It's dirty. It's brash. It's fun. Do you know what I mean? That's how I see this album.
It's, as the saying goes, it does exactly what it says on the tin.
Yep, and this I can appreciate that.
And this tin is the best tin to come out in 20 years. Exactly. The best tin of paint to come out in 20 years. Now, just referencing certain tracks, I suppose, as an opening song, Paralyzed is a great capturing of the thrash imagination. It's proper Fast and Furious. To me, the alternate picking, and this does happen throughout the album, it sounds so fast that it's like a drill.
This is a
faster
trait
than Slayer. It's just it's almost like Paul Gilbert, the shred metal guitarist, when he actually plays with an actual fucking drill. It sounds it's so fast. It's unbelievable. And as you said, it's a trait, isn't it?
It's a trait of the band itself, because if you listen to their debut album, that album is full of that style of which is it's excellent. I love that. It's fast paced. It's just fun from the get go. You're gonna have fun with this album, and that's kind of what it's all about. The thing that I really like about this album is I almost feel like it's an album of two halves. So like for me, the first 5 songs, looking at it now, fast paced, super pure thrash, fun.
I see what you mean. I see what you're about to say, actually.
And then all of a sudden they seem to go down into a horror type of style.
I'm glad you said horror. I got that. I've got it written down.
Because you've got track 6 is called The Thing, in brackets 1982. Track 7,
John Carpenter's The Thing, 1982, one of the greatest horror films of all time.
And then followed by a song called Zombie Apocalypse.
And it's got a really It reminds me of Metallica's "The Thing That Should Not Be."
Yeah, it
It's
does.
got
It,
that.
yeah,
It's got a
yeah,
really almost like doomy, almost like Celtic Frost elements to
yeah,
it as well. But it really,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. I see
It's
you mean. I've never
yeah,
really noticed until tonight. But yeah, there is a different pace to it.
yeah.
And then it ends in Hell Unleashed. Do you know, it's funny you mention that. Then when Hell Unleashed comes, then Hell Unleashed is actually a very good way to finish the album because it
Mm,
picks up the pace again. And
yeah,
because you've had slower songs before, it
yeah,
then makes the song Hell Unleashed feel almost superior to what came before it.
yeah,
Would you agree to that?
yeah, yeah. No, definitely. I'd go with that for sure. No, it's it's rounding off the album. You know, because it is an album almost a 2 hours. Because even the last but one song, "Control from Above," it's in that style of the last few songs on that album, and then "Hell Unleashed" it just brings it back around. It reminds you that you're listening to that same album, and again, it's just cleansing the palate,
Yes.
which is exactly what it needs to do. It's excellent, and I appreciate, as we've just as we've personally talked about, and we've just talked about in a Rockospective recording that we've done. My ears really appreciate a change of pace or
Yeah.
variation,
Variation.
and that was the problem when I first listened to Hell Unleashed on its own, was there was a lot of variation, so my ears would tune out a little bit to it. But now that I can listen to the whole album, I look forward to knowing that Hell Unleashed is coming towards the end, because we've had these variations. We've had, track one, just all out thrash. It's balls to the wall, all
Yeah,
out
absolutely.
thrash. Um, the next song, gore, again, it's plenty of thrash. It's heavy, it's big, it's dirty, goes through, and then all of a sudden, and which so you're having a good time, and then all of a sudden it changes the pace with that kind of horror inspired kind of songs, slightly slower, only slightly slower,
Yeah,
but
not like not like
no,
Crazy Doom, is it? But
but
yeah.
it's slightly slower. I suppose it's dirtier, maybe it's grittier. I suppose you could describe it as, it's just more. There's some more. It's got some bollocks to it. Do
Yeah,
you know what
yeah.
I mean? And then you see, oh, Helen Leash is coming at the end, and then you really appreciate that. But then, like, because it just reminds you what the first part of the album was like.
Yeah.
It's the bookend, isn't it?
It is, and it's amazing how this can be achieved through
Mm.
only 9 songs. This is not
Yes.
normally in. Do you see what I mean? It's almost like this is normally something that, like, potentially a band like even Gojira could
Mm.
potentially do it over it, or even Dream Theater. It's over
Yeah.
a longer period of time, where it's almost like a concept album. But
Mm.
the fact that they managed to do it in almost like a formulaic, punky, thrashy type of
Mm.
context as well, and not be too flashy, but just have
Yeah.
a bit of intelligence to how they put it together. It really came off really well. I think
Yeah.
so.
Excellent.
And again, it then gives the song Helen Leash a completely different look, doesn't it?
It does, totally, and I've got a lot more respect for that song now. Would I listen to that song as a standalone song? No. Would I listen to Escape as a standalone song? No.
No, again, that's the word
Yeah.
that's missing in people's lives, is context, because people like to get upset and angry
Yeah.
and stuff over things without looking at context, and context is really important. So
Yeah.
musically, in context, I'll only ever want to listen to any one of these songs ever if I'm listening to the entire album
Yeah.
as
Yeah.
that entire piece of
Yeah.
art.
Yes, and that's what this is essentially. It's a piece of art. I mean, every album is essentially a piece of art, but
Yeah, absolutely.
some are more than others, if you know what I mean. Some albums maybe can feel like they're kind of put together scientifically, almost scientifically. Some feel like they're more of a story, but the first one that comes to mind there is Leviathan by
Oh,
Mastodon.
Macedon,
It
of
it
course.
is it's a masterpiece, absolute masterpiece, but it's a story. But this is like an abstract piece of art that's just like, it's just fury. It's just pure fury, but in the best way possible. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? The beautiful thing about music is that um, it's all art, but it's in its own way. It's all creative, but it's how it decides to be creative. So this to me emulates, like I said, a piece of art that you look on, you can view on the wall and interpret it for how you want. Where you've got other albums that are more like a book that are telling a story. Like some of them are more of a dramatic piece of listening. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of like
Yeah,
this.
man.
Music could be interpreted in so many ways, and it can be and albums could be put together in ways to represent those things. So, yeah, honestly,
It's like yeah, I don't know, the ups and downs of life, isn't it?
yeah, yeah,
So that's what art really tries to reflect, is like getting too philosophical, the human experience.
yeah, yeah,
Fears, hopes, and all that type of stuff.
yeah.
But
Okay,
bottom line, then really, there's loads of grooves in the song, especially
loads.
again the latter half. There's plenty of speeds. The guitar work is surprisingly tasty. There's a
Mm,
one song called Disorder
yeah,
with the intro. It's only about 6 seconds, but there's this harmony guitar finger tapping.
mm,
It sounds like something you'd find on a Steve Vai or Joe
yeah,
Satriani record, and then it goes into a heavier riff. I really enjoy that as an intro. It's very
mm,
different rather than just a heavy riff straight away. Um, Talking about groove, very much like we liked a lot of the Cannibal Corpse songs with
oh
their
yes,
latest album in Inhumane Harvest, yeah,
yeah. Oh no,
yeah.
Violence Unimagined.
Violence and Imagine, sorry, in Human Harvest, the song, but um, there's a song on this album called War of Attrition, and there's a
Mm,
great groove switch in the middle of the song. And
yeah, it
if you
is.
like a
Yeah,
groove, that's a really, really good one as well. So, we're not going to analyze song by song, but but we've mentioned a pile. Paralyzed is the intro, and normally an intro song is actually quite short. But this one's quite. It's about, is it 6 minutes long? Or am
it's
I
5 minutes,
5 minutes?
3.
Okay, there you go. So it just, yeah, it's sizable. Disorder is great just for that intro harmony tapping. I was telling you,
Mm.
War of Attrition, and then the song The Thing. And I'm literally mentioning all the songs right now, literally.
Yeah, that's about half the album.
Oh, excuse me.
Bless you.
Thank you very much. But yeah, I suppose closing thoughts really, Papa Ben.
Mm,
We were obviously given this pedestal of a sentence that,
yeah,
or a claim rather. The more I listen to the album, the more I forget that was ever said. And I
yeah,
just try to listen to it as it is.
yeah.
And what is this? But it is just a really good modern day thrash album. And probably, again, I've not listened to every thrash album in the past 10 years
No.
at all. But I was recently reading an article by the lead singer of this band, Evile, of what they reckon, or he reckons, is the best thrash albums to come out in the past 10 years. This album can easily be in that top 10.
Yeah, I'd say so.
I'd say so.
The thing I like about this is we live in a world of invention and advancements, both in not just technology but musically. Every time a new album comes out, you almost feel like it's trying to be they're tacking on more words at the end of that genre. I always joke that eventually, like it's a if you ever seen a clip of a show called Fur TV, you'll know exactly what I'm on about. But I eventually we are going to see a band that categorize themselves as vegetarian progressive grindcore.
Okay.
I'll share that clip on the METALIDADS group so you know what I'm on about. But that's what I mean. It's getting it's the more you think about it, the better it
Yeah.
gets. But the do you know what I mean? It's like we're at the point now where I was listening to an album and it was classed as post. Hang on, no, yes, it was classed as post metalcore. Yeah, post metalcore. It's like how many more words are going to get tacked onto genres? Do you see what I mean? It's this album comes out and it's just they've just I'm not saying it's like a fuck you to the other genres, but it's a statement to say you don't need to try and be the next vegetarian progressive grindcore band because we're a fucking good thrash band. We are straight up thrash in the same way, I suppose that one of our favorite albums, The Antichrist by Destruction in 2001, did the same thing. It was,
Yeah.
bands were evolving and they were trying to
Yeah.
do the new metal thing. Even Slayer had to go do a new metal kind
Yeah.
of, and it didn't work.
Machine Head as well.
Yeah.
Sort of.
Yeah, and then Destruction came out and was like, no, we're not pandering to that. And they released what we would probably say is probably the best.
One of the thrashiest albums we've ever heard.
Yeah, and
with
it was
a great opening track.
Yeah, with in a time where thrash was dead, if you want to use that kind of term. And this album, I feel like it's got that kind of style to it. It's that, in a world where you're trying to be the next super different, super edgy band, they've just gone, no, we're just straight up thrash metal, and
it's
we're gonna
back to basics, isn't it?
Yeah,
and
we're just gonna smash you in the face with it, and we're gonna drag you along for the ride, and there's nothing you can do about it. You're here for the ride, type thing. You better enjoy it. It's that kind of feeling.
There we go. You're here for the ride. You better believe it. Absolutely. No, dude, that was great. I really enjoyed this album. I've listened to it 4 or 5 times, and I'm definitely listened to it 4 or 5 times more. So to all our listeners, then, that was our album review and discussion of Hell Unleashed by Evile, which was released, just within the past couple of weeks, isn't it? Really, Ben?
30th of April, it came out.
30. Oh, that's it. 30. Yeah, there goes. Yeah, so just over 10 days ago. So, diolch yn fawr iawn i chi gyd. Thank you very much to you all for your company as ever, and thanks Papa Ben for all your contributions tonight. It's been really interesting and fun discussing this album because I really enjoyed it. And remember, no matter the podcast topic, whether it's whammy bars or weaning, napalm death or nappies, it's always good to talk.
We'll see you again very soon. Have a good evening, good morning, good night, and we'll see you soon.
Yeah, so from myself, Daddy Huw, and from Papa Ben, no star. Catch you soon.
Bye-bye.